Chronic pain doesn't have to define your life. Today on WellWaveNOW, we're joined by Ani Papazyan, an expert in pain relief and personalized health solutions to explore transformative ways to reclaim vitality, well-being, and happiness. Welcome to WellWaveNOW, your portal for actionable wellness insights. We, Breck Rice, Dr. Bob Levine, and me, Tim Daniels, are your wellness catalysts, committed to elevating your health, enhancing your functionality, and optimizing your performance at every life stage. WellWaveNOW, where timeless wisdom lights your wellness path. So Ani, welcome, and you get to correct my pronunciation in a second if you want to. But Ani is the founder of Last Stop for Pain, with nearly 3 decades of experience in pain relief, functional nutrition, and genetic health analysis. She's also the creator of Precision Pain Resolution Method, which empowers individuals to live pain-free lives. Ani's work combines cutting-edge techniques learned in Europe with integrated approaches rarely seen in the US. Let's uncover how she's transforming lives. All right, so Ani, with that, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome our people on Zoom. You can put in questions as you see fit. Welcome our TikTok people, as well as Facebook, on the Facebook there. But so Ani, give us the correct pronunciation of your name. How well did I do, or how well did I mess it up? And then let's go from there a little bit.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. I'm so honored. Thanks for having me here. You actually did fantastic, Tim. You did great. It's Ani Papazyan. Most Americans say Papazyan, but as long as you say my name correctly, Ani instead of Annie, and I'm good to go. So happy to be here.
All right. So what we want to start out with here a little bit is, chronic pain. Me, as an old collegiate wrestler with ripped up knees, I've got, for years, I lived with a lot of pain till I found a couple of things that relieved it for me. But then I also worked in the home care world. I ran a home care agency for 8 years and really came across a lot of people who live with pain and understand, what it could leave many people homeless, helpless, feeling helpless, and kind of giving up on that. So one of the things that, in fact, I'll stop for a second. I was talking to a buddy of mine, but he's now 72 and having pain going. I'll recommend he talk to you and to Dr. Bob a little bit. He's got all kinds of sciatica pain. It's in other pain in the back, where he's saying, Tim, I just don't know if I can take this for another 10 years. I'm at 72 on this. What can I do? So long-winded way of saying, a lot of people feel that hopelessness. They feel like they've given up. They don't want to live with it. What do you do to kind of help motivate and empower people at the start to kind of get them working with you and have some hope?
Well, that's a great question. One of the things, and I think I did mention last time, it's when I see clients in pain, and most of the time I see clients that have already seen a bunch of other practitioners or other doctors. And one of the reasons I think the clients stick to or do the stuff I tell them to do is how I approach okay, you're seeing me because you have pain. And the main reason you want to get rid of that pain. But my goal is to make it so your motivation to get rid of that pain doesn't go away when your pain goes from being 10 down to 3. Because a lot of times, as we know, if you're at 7, 8, 10 pain level, you're very motivated to get rid of it. But once your pain level, I can get down to 2 or 3, your motivation goes out the window. So instead of focusing on, okay, I'm going to get rid of your pain, my focus is, what is that pain preventing you from doing? Like your friend, 72-year-old, what is it preventing him, the sciatica pain, doing? Is like the sitting, the walking. So once we focus on that goal of, okay, I'm going to get rid of your pain so you can go that 2-3 mile walk every day or play golf, or these days pickleball is one of like the popular things to do, play your pickleball. Your motivation will never go away until we get rid of that pain, that you can do those things. That's one of the differences, what I focus on, that I think it makes the difference with clients don't quit and stay until their pain goes away completely.
That's a really good point, Ani, because I think a lot of people don't focus on where they're going and what they want to accomplish in terms of getting out of pain completely. I like the fact that you're having people focus on what do you want to do that you can't do, and let's just keep going so that you can do what you want to do. And I think we can get everybody there if they're willing to go where we want them to go.
Exactly. So focusing is, instead of moving away from the pain, it's going towards something. And that's where you keep the motivation.
Yeah, nice.
So now so we've got that motivation. People want to start out. Let's say, as you said, people come to you from other places, or even let's say in your own world, if it ever happens, they get stuck and they get kind of stuck at that plot at a certain level. How do you help them at that point? What do you encourage them? How do you talk to them? And it could be, let's say somebody gets from 10 to 2 and they're stuck at 2 and they say, boy, this is much, much better. And maybe I don't want to put any more into this, or maybe this is as far as I can go. How do you engage with them then, Ani?
Well, it's a tough one because depending on the client, some of the reasons they would stop would be either financial, or they're coming from too far, or they just don't want to put the work in. Because yes, as much as I can do hands-on what I do, but you are the one who's going to do some of the techniques that I'm going to teach you, or the exercises that I'm going to tell you to do at home to keep that what I've done so it doesn't go back, to zero, like to the starter point. So we're not starting from scratch.
Ani, how
So,
important are those home activities that you give people?
oh, 100%. If you don't do homework, forget it.
Okay.
It happened to clients that I said, I'm sorry, I cannot see you, because if every week you're going to see me and I'm starting from zero,
Yeah.
then we're not doing it right.
It's a waste of time and waste of money, right?
It's a waste of time, waste of money. And not only that, someone's going to say, oh my God, you're pain. You're like, yeah, I've been seeing Ani, but I'm not going anywhere. Just like, oh, Ani sucks.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other thing also. But also is one of the reasons, Tim, going back to it stays too and gets stuck. That tells me we haven't addressed the root cause of the issue. We've been working with the symptoms. And that's what a lot of practitioners, a lot of doctors do. They address on the symptoms instead of let's figure out what's the root cause of the issue, because once we address the root cause, then most of the time, all other symptoms, they just kind of disappear.
What's an example of that?
Well, I had a client, actually, he was a very well-known doctor, came to see me, viral kind of a specialist, internal medicine. And he came with the diagnosis of sciatica. And I took his word for it because he was a doctor and he came with the diagnosis. So I started treating as a sciatica the first session. Second session, he comes back and he's like, I still have the same pain. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to scratch everything he told me that he came with. And I'm going to start from my diagnostic tools of, I'm just going to run through the diagnostic tests. And it turned out it was his femoral nerve, because the nerve pathway is completely different. Femoral nerve, it comes out of the lumbar L2, L4 instead of, sacral 2 and 4 instead of sciatica, which is L4, 5, right? And the pain pathway is completely different. And
Oh,
so,
can I interrupt? I just want to add,
oh,
I'm
please.
really interested. Your therapeutic approach. Okay, you've got sciatic versus femoral nerve entrapment or whatever it is. How do you, how does your treatment differentiate those two in terms of getting improvement?
Well, completely different. One of the things that I see, let's say people with sciatica, and I've seen so many people come with the sciatica issue. When you think of sciatica, you always think of could be a lumbar decompression, right? That's compressing on a nerve. But so many of my clients that I have seen with sciatica issue is due to piriformis muscle tightness, which piriformis muscle runs in the middle of your buttock. And most of the people, sciatica runs right under the piriformis muscle. So when that muscle is tight, it compresses on a sciatica. But very small percentage of people, your piriformis splits in half and sciatica goes in between the muscle. Very small percentage of people. So a lot of doctors, when you hear, okay, sciatica pain, they focus on the lower back. Nobody focuses on buttock. Let's work on the buttock. Let's teach you to stretch, do the piriformis stretch. And most of the time that gets rid of it.
Great. But what about the other one?
So the femoral nerve usually is, I utilize, if I'm at the office, I know that femoral nerve, usually it's coming from the lower back. If they have any MRI, I want to see if there is any crazy compression. Because if there is any vertebral compression, that's out of my scope of practice. So I may send them to a chiropractor who will do decompression a little bit, open up a little bit more space. But I also have a tool. It's not a TENS unit. It looks like it, but it calms the nerve down. We would ice it, but I will also do a medical massage to calm down the nerve that the pain goes down, like it's the upper thigh going down to the leg, inner thigh, lower leg, all the way to the calf on the worst cases.
I'm going to stop you here for a second, Ani. And that's the challenge when you two, when you couple of you practitioners get together. Sometimes you just kind of dive in there and you just go and you get in all these different things.
Because it's fun.
It is. But let me bring it back up for a second or two. But one thing first, and I know you don't like to talk about it too much, this portion, and I applaud that because you just like to be who you are. Is you mentioned a very famous doctor, but I think one thing the audience should know and realize is who you kind of worked with a little, and you work with a little bit. And I only want that from the standpoint of that these are people who can choose the best, pay for the best, and they've kind of said in some cases that that's Ani. So whoever you feel comfortable, kind of share a little bit of your clientele a little bit.
Well, thank you, Tim. Yes, living in Los Angeles definitely helps to have access to kind of a famous industry people, but I've been fortunate enough to currently, actually, I'm on a tour with Janet Jackson. I did her world tour in 98, 99. And then since May, I've been on a road traveling with her. And I'm so grateful that I'm home for like a couple of weeks. Actually, I'm leaving next week. Again, back to Las Vegas, where she's doing Las Vegas residency. But you guys were accommodating to get me on your podcast when I'm in town. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work with Janet Jackson, Mark Burnett, Guillermo del Toro, Alexandra Desplat, Roma Downey. I just been really, fortunate enough to work with some of these people. Christina Steinberg. These are all Oscar-winning producers, directors.
But now you've had the biggest privilege and pleasure of all of having a podcast with Dr. Bob Levine and
Exactly, absolutely.
on the WellWaveNOW.
There you go.
So, but a little bit, so kind of the path that you and Dr. Bob are going down there a little bit, we got to get to, which is let's move into your journey a little bit and the foundation of your work. What led you to specialize in pain resolution?
Well, my foundation, I was born and raised in Armenia, former Soviet Union. I finished my college there. I got my bachelor's in kinesiology there, where I also studied medical massage in college, which is very science-based. I also played volleyball for Armenian national team for 5 years. So being an athlete, I can,
Did you win? How often did that?
Well, not so often, but I'm glad we traveled all over former Soviet Union. So now those are all independent countries. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I've been to most of them.
Now Dr. Bob played collegiate football. He claims they only won when he was on the field. So.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, actually, I was one of the shortest people on a team. Most of our girls, we had 4 Russian girls, and they were like 6'2", and there's Ani 5'7". So, but I was a good defense player.
Were you, what's it called, a digger? Or was you,
So, just playing volleyball, I cannot tell you how many times I twisted my ankle, injured ourselves. So we always had the recovery. What's the fastest way we can recover? And when we moved to US with my family, I reinstated my diploma here. And I think I mentioned I wanted to continue to either become a physical therapist or a chiropractor until I found out I had to dissect cadavers, which all those ideas were out the window because I don't even go to funerals, terrified of it. As long as I figure out there is no cadavers in massage school, I continued with massage, but my passion always was how fast I can get rid of your pain and keep you pain-free.
Okay, great. Now let's move into that even more to the path where you and Bob were at. So we've talked about how you get people motivated, how you engage them, the self-help, and you've had some examples of where you get to the root cause. But now, how did all this come together for you into your? There's 2 things on this I want you to chat to a little bit. one, we never really define what's the scope of pain that you deal with and type. And then number two, in relationship with that, how did you come up with the precision pain resolution method and what comprises that?
So let's start with that. It's a combination of, I didn't come up with any of the techniques that I use. I'm not that smart, but I'm fortunate enough to come across in my 30 years to come across some amazing doctors, practitioners that created some unique pain relief techniques. And just to mention a couple of them, the Primal reflex release technique that was created by a physical therapist, John Imes, the Trigenics, which was created in Canada by Dr. Olaf, but they call him Dr. O. I incorporate the Russian European medical massage, which is like my core foundation. And then conjugate gaze techniques, which works how your brain functions with the eye movements and tongue movements. So I incorporate all that and just kind of make it my own, because utilizing all those techniques and see, I may have two clients with the exact same symptoms, but my approach to their resolution of their pain could be completely different.
It also sounds to me like you engage in a multimodal approach you use, which is really important. And would I don't discount your smartness, because when you take modalities and you package them together and you become as effective as you are, that separates people who can't do that. And most practitioners can't do that. And you're doing that. So I just want to make sure that you're not being so modest that
No.
I want our audience to understand how challenging it is to assemble a whole series of modalities to use and then pick out the ones that work on these two patients with the exact same symptoms, but needing totally different approaches.
Yeah. Beautiful. Now, you also, I think you left out part of your recipe, though, I think, Ani, which is you also look at nutritionists sometimes, right? Don't you also do some genetic testing?
I do. I'm also a functional nutritionist where I can read lab works, because sometimes, especially when I see chronic clients, acute pain, it's easy. You had an injury, you twisted, you picked up something wrong, you hurt your back. It's easy to take care of. But when you come see me with the chronic pain, let's say you have a lower back pain, but it's because of you have chronic constipation, then forget my modalities. We need to address your digestion. Why is it you have chronic constipation? Where is it coming from? So yes, I definitely, after looking at someone's blood work, one of the things I'm looking, do you have systemic inflammation, which, looking at it functionally is very different than when a doctor, regular like your GP, looks at your blood work. It's very different. But also looking into genetically, is your body genetically, do you have certain genes, let's say in your injury pathway or in your bone and joint pathway, that make you more prone to having soft tissue injuries? Or let's say ACL injuries, Achilles tendon injuries. Does your body, let's say the vitamin D does not convert into active D because of the genetic makeup that you have? And sometimes looking at all that, then it helps me to create a more personalized approach to your pain.
Okay, great. We got a question from the audience, John. Before
Sure. I know both Dr. Bob and I know Tim over the years of networking.
Hey, John.
How you doing? And instead of these hypothetical, I came here because I have specific chronic pain. I'll tell you the quick story. Dr. Bob knows it. Tim knows it a little bit, maybe. But basically, roughly 12 years ago, I was running and it felt like someone stabbed me between the shoulder blades of my back. I stopped running, the pain went away. When I tried to run again, the pain came back. I go, okay, that covers running. Over the years, it's gotten progressively worse. I'm at the point now where I'm in constant pain. The constant pain is probably a low, 2 or something. But any type of physical activity, even the slightest walking slowly, walking the dog, aggravates my back. And it's gotten to the point now where sometimes if I have an active day where I walk around a little bit, like over the weekend, I was standing a lot because I was at a flea market working a booth for an organization. And that night, when I lay down in bed, my back flared up and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't lay down. And then last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was up in excruciating pain. You're tired, you want to go to sleep, you just want to cry.
Yeah.
As far as what I've done, From a Western side, I've had cortisone shots, nerve blockers, um, uh, ablations, epidurals. I've been on Lyrica, I've been on gabapentin, I've been on duoxetine. I stopped taking them all because none of them did anything. On the holistic side, I've seen more chiropractors than I can count, more acupuncturists than I can count. I've done platelet replacement therapy, oxygen, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, specific microcurrent therapy. I've had whatever that is, cold laser therapy. Yeah, cold laser. I've had my atlas bone adjusted. I've had the DRX 9000 where they do, they uncompress you. Um, I'm probably I've got it injected with I don't know if they were stem cells, but something along stem cells a few years ago, which was very expensive.
Yeah.
And so far nothing's helped. And the other frustrating thing is that like you brought up earlier, I've never gotten a clear diagnosis. I've had multiple MRIs, X-rays, bone density scans. I've been diagnosed with cervical spondylosis, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, but everyone tells me that those conditions by themselves shouldn't cause the pain. The osteoarthritis or osteoporosis, I mean, if I had a broken vertebrae, hey, you got a broken bone, obviously that's what is hurting, but I don't have one. I've had multiple surgical consults. They've looked at my MRIs, X-rays, and say, there's no reason to cut you open. There's nothing to go in and fix. Just recently, someone introduced me to stem wave shock therapy, acoustic therapy. I had one session last week. Someone else introduced me to PEMF, pulse electronic mag. I've done that. I've done one therapy session with that. Now, I'm not expecting miracles after one session, but so far, neither one of them have done anything. Now I've talked to someone who wants me to do exosomes.
Yeah, which is a form. It's another biologic. People are using that, and it reach back where you can encourage that to take a look at that. There's actually back up on the Wellness Wave Club site, which is where we put these WellWaveNOW podcasts. And I can actually ship you the link. We actually had something last week with one of the leading guys in the country on stem cells and exosomes. It's just something they use in combination with stem cells to actually work the regeneration and do things. But I would take a look at that. So I think, Ani, while John's communicating there with something that's challenging, is that what do you say? How would you?
Now, just to finish up, all my other health issues, or I have none. I'm 56 years old. I don't take any medication. My blood pressure, my cholesterol, all those numbers are good. I poop every day. I eat mostly organic. I eat very healthy. I don't eat any processed food. I take my vitamins and nutritional supplements and Boswellia and krill and all that stuff every day. I just went for a full blood lab where they're taking my hormones and enzymes and all that. I haven't got the results from that. So with all that thrown on the table.
Right. And and Ani, I don't expect you to work miracles here. Maybe that's a consultation you can. I don't know if you get.
I have a couple of ideas. So you said it's between your shoulder blades, right?
Correct.
Okay. So without a couple of things come to mind. I know you said your digestion is good, but I would be testing doing like a visceral massage to see what I feel, because sometimes it will actually refer pain between your shoulder blades.
Can you explain what a visceral massage is?
Oh, visceral massage is when you're doing abdominal massage, but you're addressing, the large intestine, the stomach, all the internal organs. It's a visceral massage.
Great.
It's not the most pleasant thing, but it's fantastic.
It is.
So,
I've had those before, having colonics in the past.
Yeah, the visceral massage is very different. My other thing I would suggest is I would look at your dura mater. Dura mater is the toughest layer that covers your spinal cord, because dura mater starts from your brainstem all the way to your coccyx. And that's the one, it has a lot of direct and indirect muscle and nerve connections. And that's what I would address it and start releasing some of that. Because
how do you test that or check it or look at it?
It's a manual, hands-on.
Okay. Where are you located?
Come to LA, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles?
Yes.
I'm not going there. It's on fire now. I can't go there now.
Yes, it is.
John,
With that, I'm
Yeah,
John,
fine.
also, I'm,
she might, well, she's got time, what your residency.
Or I'm gonna be in Vegas in next week for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so you can fly out to Vegas, John, and do that. All right.
and
But
John,
yeah, those are the couple of things that came to mind.
yeah, the visceral massage is really, really cool and phenomenal. And it's I mean, I was doing that with a client just the other day, and it was referring pain all the way down both legs, which was it was crazy. What we were able to unlock with the visceral massage. So,
Yeah, but
I can
John,
talk-
definitely stick with PMF. PMF is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just stick with it. It needs more than 1 or 2 sessions.
Sure. Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things I ever had. You know, it was like you were a kid and you were running on the floor, running your feet on the carpeting and touching people and getting shocked. It's the weirdest thing.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like, that's one of the areas I specialize in, John. We should talk some more about that. It sounds like you actually had high intensity PEMF, and there's a whole range from low intensity to medium intensity to high intensity that one really needs to understand and take a look at to see what might be effective for you and how to approach it. So happy to chat some on that. Ani, do you one of the things we're going to get to later, and Doctor, I got to make sense. Dr. Bob, I apologize for him. He may have to leave here in some minutes to take care of a client, but
Actually, I was able to rearrange things, so I'm good.
all right, beautiful. So with that, Ani, but when we're going to get into later, but this is an appropriate point, I think, to talk to a little bit is number one, you've been doing a lot of things with people hands-on, but I think you also want to be able to do things with people remotely. So let's talk a little bit to that. And then number two, do you offer a remote or a consultation by video or by phone as well?
I do. I definitely do. It's not the same as having, hands-on, but I do teach self-help techniques. I love teaching. There's so many amazing self-help techniques that I can walk the client through. I also have a couple of online courses that are on my website for neck pain relief, for jaw and stress relief, techniques that I teach. But I also do online, like a Zoom consultations, definitely. And all my genetic testing, everything is done online.
All right. So, and what's your website, Ani?
It's right here. It says Last Stop for Pain, laststopforpain.com.
Right. And so we'll also have that in the show notes, and it'll be on that audio for the people at Spotify. But John, that's the other thing I would suggest. You got a little bit here, but and Ani's got a wide range, I think, of techniques and approaches and knowledge. I would encourage you to at least get the consultation with her and work and see what can be done remotely, or what who knows, you might get so excited that you will fly out to Vegas for a try. But that's what I would encourage you to do a little bit of as well. John, anything else, or any thoughts at this point?
That's all I have.
Okay. All right. So with that, you went into some of the techniques you alluded to, but you talked about the medical massage, and I don't know if that's the same as the visceral or part of it, Ani, but a lot of people are familiar with the sports massage, the Swedish massage, the deep tissue massage, all those things. Talk to us a little bit about how that massage is different than others, and in terms of how you approach it and what it's meant to achieve.
So medical massage, especially the medical massage I studied, the foundation of it, it's about proper diagnosing the issue. So to find out what the root cause is. And then the techniques we use, they are the same techniques as a massage. Like, we use the effleurage, we use the tapotement, all that stuff. But every technique you use, it's with purpose, because we know the exact outcome. Like, for example, I had a client during childbirth. She had a stroke and went into coma. So after she woke up, I think 2 or 3 weeks after coma, she couldn't, because of the stroke, she couldn't raise her left arm. Her uncle was my client, so he got me actually into the hospital, into her ICU room, and I started doing on her hand, on her legs, inhibitory regime massage. And as you know, with the strokes, you need to work on the clients as fast as possible to allow the brain to create new synapses, new pathways. And so inhibitory regime, the medical massage technique modality that we use, that's specifically for those reasons.
Okay.
So you're doing everything you do, it's with the precision and knowing the exact outcome is going to be. That's the difference about the medical massage.
Now, one thing we took a little
Detour.
angle. We did the Donald Trump weave a little bit, so I'm gonna weave back on you here a little bit because we never really got to this portion. Is what's the scope, the range of pain that you'd like to deal with? I always have to get Bob, so I can't resist this one. Bob loves me for this. You know, do you deal with the pain of talking to Bob Levine, or what? What's the pain you deal with?
So most of the pain I see is neck, back, shoulders, hips, and feet. Tons of plantar fasciitis, tons of neck, shoulders, especially women going through perimenopause, menopause, a lot of shoulder issues, frozen shoulder issues, lower back pain due to constipation, hip pain. So many people have like a torn labrums that they don't even know it that they have, but I see a lot of neck pain, and I have a lot of local dentists that just refer me patients because of TMJ. I do intraoral release, I do tongue release, and I do that on about 90% of my clients. Doesn't matter where your pain is, because so many people have tight jaw, tight tongue, and they're shocked when I say your tongue is tight. They're like, what?
Well, that's what you got to talk. I'm glad you mentioned that. And the other thing you've got is that diaphragm release here. You know, you live out there in La La Land, and you know, you come back to, you know, me as a good, even though I live on the East Coast now, you know, I still can't get away from my frame of reference, which is central Nebraska, you know, real rooted people. And you got to tell me that my tongue is tight. What is tongue release, and what is diaphragm release, and what are those things? What are those things good for?
This
Well,
is a family
these are
friendly
all-
show, Tim. You know.
But this is all science. It may sound la la land. Yes, LA, it's a little bit of la la. And last time, Tim, we were talking, I said, you know, I do science approach, but sometimes I do woo-woo stuff. And you said, no woo-woo, just science.
That's right.
So the tongue and diaphragm, it's all science. So the tongue, as you know, there are 5 cranial nerves innervate in your tongue. The root of your tongue is attached to your hyoid bone. So all the hypoglossal, all these hypoglossal muscles, your digastric muscle, all those connected to your hyoid bone, they're all tight. So which means once I release your tongue, your neck pain, your neck range of motion increases. There is so much science with the connection of your TMJ to your hips also. So yeah, jaw and tongue release is massive. With stress, the first thing is the jaw tightness, clenching, grinding. Yes, Dr. Bob.
So give everyone an idea of how you, generally speaking, release the tongue. What do you do? You stick
Okay,
your
well,
hands in
actually,
your mouth,
yes, I put gloves on. I go inside the mouth. I have you curl your tongue to the roof of the mouth. So I go underneath from here and underneath, and I go alongside and I release all those muscles. I touch your tongue. I pull it, stick, massage the tongue. Definitely. Oh yeah, my hands is in your mouth and releasing all that stuff.
See, Tim, I think you
Definitely.
need to fly out there and get that done.
I might need to.
The release.
That's a very Eastern medicine thing, to look at someone's tongue and play with their tongue.
It is.
It's fantastic, you know, but also about diaphragm. You know, if you look at the structure of the diaphragm, in the front, it's attached to your sternum, the bone right at the edge. 6 to 9, 12 ribs on the sides it's attached to. In the lower back, it's attached to your, one side is, I think it's like a L3, and the other side it's L1, lumbar vertebrae it's attached to. So when a lot of times we're doing, especially women, you know, we like to suck our guts in. So we're doing a lot of upper chest breathing, which we utilize, instead of expanding our diaphragm, we utilize more of the supporting muscles. And so the diaphragm becomes tight. Like I love to test the clients. You cannot tickle yourself, but when you come to my office, I'll palpate your 6 to 9 ribs on the side. And I cannot tell you, the clients are like, oh, no, I'm ticklish. I'm like, this is awesome. Because sometimes I do the technique, or I teach them the technique. They do it right there and then. It takes literally less than 30 seconds. And then I go back and palpate, and they're not ticklish anymore. That's the diaphragm release. And actually, if anyone goes on my website, right on my front page, it says 5 body pain hacks. If they sign up, they would get for 5 days, they would get these very short videos of self-help techniques for neck pain, back pain, diaphragm release, lymphatic drainage. They would get all those videos, short 2 to 4 minute videos, where I teach the techniques to them.
I'm on your website. I just don't see what you're talking about.
And the front page,
Yeah.
at my home page, when you scroll a little bit, it says 5 body pain hacks.
Let me look down here and see.
Yeah, right in the front page. You scroll.
I'll find it.
Yeah, 5 body pain hacks. You click on that, you can sign up, and then you'll get for 5 days, you get short videos, and then I give you a bonus video.
Now, a couple of things you touched on, you mentioned, and I do want to go back to these because I think these are the things that aren't widely spread out there. And when you've got the tough cases like we talked about before, this is some of the things you can potentially bring to bear. And there's also not only these in isolation, but as you said, your whole method and approach and the testing you can bring together. But you mentioned Trigenics, and you also mentioned that Primal reflex release. Talk a little bit about what those really are, and why you use them, why you incorporated those.
They're amazing techniques. So I start with the Primal reflex release techniques. Like I said, it was created by John Imes, a physical therapist. And the whole idea of it is we're working with body's reflexes, mainly the startle and withdrawal reflexes. And a lot of times, doesn't matter, let's say if you were in a car accident 10, 15 years ago, your withdrawal or startup reflex gets upregulated, which means your nervous system stays upregulated. And if someone doesn't downregulate those reflexes, then you're always going to stay upregulated, which means a lot of times you are operating on fight or flight, very sensitive, sympathetic nervous system. So with the primal reflex release technique, we downregulate it. Once we downregulate your nervous system, it almost goes like, then it's easier for your body because once we balance the nervous system, your body has the capability of healing itself. We just need to give the right opportunities to it. And very similarly with the Trigenics, it's a neuromuscular technique. We're utilizing the 3 things at the same time: the breathing, resistance, and the stretch technique against resistance. And with the Trigenics, we have to find out, okay, that muscle that's tight, is it tight because it's too long or it's too short? Because we can't always elongate. Sometimes they're tight because they're overly stretched out. Like when someone has a forward neck position, these muscles are tight because they're constantly overstretched and they want to go back.
And also, they're not only are they overstretched, but they have to be contracted to hold the head up. Because if they're not contracted, the head's just going to drop down because the head's forward and gravity is working on it.
Exactly. That's why these muscles, the fascia becomes shorter on the forward head position, shorter. The back here is overly stretched, so we need to bring it back.
Yep.
And so Trigenics works amazing for that.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
So, Bob, anything else come to mind for you at this point?
Well, I'm really happy that, Ani, you mentioned the forward head posture, because that is so prevalent. Probably I would say about 90% of people have a forward head posture, which leads to tension. And maybe you could say something about, do you advise people on ergonomics, like how to sit in front of the computer and how to,
Definitely. Oh yeah, I do.
Say something about that. I think that'd be valuable. So many people are sitting in front of the computer, so I'm sure you can help people with some advice about that.
Definitely. I always suggest clients, if you have an online, these days you can find anything, like at what level your computer should be, at what level like your chair, your desk should be, and then paying attention. I always tell the clients, if you need to put an alarm on your phone for every hour, if you're sitting in front of a computer, just literally 1 minute, stand up, walk around. Like I have a desk that sometimes it stands up. So I just stand it up. I'm working, standing up for half an hour, and then I go back, sit down, or just doing shoulder rolls, as simple as that is, or bringing your shoulders up to your ears, contracting the muscles, and then you just drop it. Or I have these 2 lacrosse balls under my desk that my bare feet are always on it. I roll them. And if you know anything about reflexology, you know, bottom of your feet, your whole body is on the bottom of your feet. One is soft, one is spiky. After a while, I switch them so my both feet get the reflexology, and it's fantastic for your body and takes nothing, no time.
That's a great idea. People should really adopt that.
It's it's not all or nothing approach. It's a small changes that you do daily that have a cumulative effect and become a habit.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's
we
an
did
it's an everything approach. It's like you got to do a little bit of everything.
That's right. Yeah, and that's that gets back to part of what we did is a series on exercise as medicine, not for aesthetic purposes, not not for fitness, but really that medicine portion. We went through one of the things that we call that movement snacking that you
Yeah.
talked about. That Bob got to love that movement snacking. The
I
type
knew
of
you were going to bring that up, Tim. I knew you were going to bring it up.
thing.
That's great, though. Go ahead.
Yep, and how you work that into your daily routine, how you do that on an hourly basis and a little more frequently, and really, and the impact, as you said, those small changes, those small things could do to really affect people, their whole body chemistry, their whole muscle makeup, and things of that nature in there. So it's a
Yeah, there's, I also have like at home, I have my mini trampoline that sometimes I jump on it, or I have my vibration plate, and I've learned that I
All the
have to
good
do
stuff.
I have to do on a low level vibration because I did a few times high intensity and I messed up my back. So lesson learned, keep it at low intensity, but they're both amazing for lymphatic drainage, lymphatic movement, and it doesn't take much for you to just stand on it while you're watching TV.
You recommend people walk barefoot around their house?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up barefoot. I was outside barefoot. I can't tell you how many times I had a glass or nail go through my bottom of my foot yeah, no, it's fantastic. Earthing, these days we're so disconnected from Earth's electromagnetic field. And as you know, our brain waves, I think it's, what is it, 8.3 hertz? Our brain waves and Earth's electromagnetic field operate at the same level.
Yeah, and one of the challenges of that, however, with that is that Earth magnetic field and the frequencies vary around different parts of the Earth and different times of it. So
They do.
so there are things out there that that aren't artificial but natural, little thing like that. One company, in fact, makes a very good little wearable that really can tap you into the frequencies of the Earth, and you can adjust it to many of the things that you need to get access to. And then, of course, you got the grounding and grounding mats, and you've got the PEMF to kind of support those things.
There's so much available out there, so much.
So, but we've kind of got, and appreciate you going through sharing your routine and what you do. I think that's going to be helpful to people. Want to come back to a little bit on, so you've got these techniques you've worked on for ages, you put together your method, but now go ahead, Bob, I'll let you ask your question before I do that one.
Thanks, Tim. I just wanted to cover this before we finish. What are some of the things that you ask people to do between sessions at home?
The first thing is, depending what is it I'm seeing you for, but one of the first thing is don't go exercise after I've done a technique on you. Like that day, leave it alone. Just drink some water, because usually, especially if I'm working at the nervous system level, it takes a couple of days for your body to go through the adjustments. That's one of the reasons I follow up with my clients on the third day, because I want them, because the next day, if I call them, they may say, Ani, I'm sore. Like, yeah, I know you're going to be sore. That's why I'm not calling you the second day. I'm going to follow up the third day. But in between, I definitely want them to do some of the techniques that I taught them to.
What would be one example of a technique?
Okay, one example would be, like I said, I do a lot of TMJ release. It would be the jaw release technique, which is so simple. And if it's okay, I would love to show it.
Go for it.
It's so simple. So you have your mandible, your jawbone. You put your thumb right over the bone. You'll see it's soft. So you give like a slight pressure. Make sure you're keeping your head neutral, because a lot of times people will focus on that. They end up doing this. So you hold that. Now, if you push tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, you'll feel under your thumb it becomes hard. You hold that about 20 to 30 seconds. Now, what that does, it relaxes your chewing muscles, your masseters, your temporalis. At the same time, sometimes I would have the client, as they're doing that, they can do two things. you turn your head to your dominant side. So if you're right-handed, you turn your head to your right, or left-handed to the left. Because when you're in a stressful situation, one of the things happens, like your neck locks up, right? Tightens up. So when you're doing this technique and turning your head, it breaks that pattern of the neck locking up. And then at the same time, I would have the client do humming. Loud humming. What that does, it stimulates your vagus nerve,
While
which is your
while they have their thumb here.
absolutely. Yeah, you're pushing your tongue and you just take a deep breath, and as you exhale, you hum, because that vibration, it stimulates your vagus nerve, which stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, and it's very calming, relaxing effect.
I think people should do that before they go to sleep.
Yep.
That's one of the things I suggest my clients to do.
Nice.
And where do you have them place the tongue in the mouth?
To the roof of the mouth. You press to the roof.
Do you where just straight to the hard palate part, or do you place?
Yeah, the hard palate. No, hard palate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's only so many places you can actually put it up there.
Well, there's another place among that's Oriental, or well, it's not even, it is Oriental medicine, but it's also top
All the way to the back.
well, in the Chinese martial arts, is that little place where the hard becomes the soft, because they believe that completes the circuit in the body and completes the chi flow and the energy.
Well, it does. It actually doesn't matter where you put, because your conception vessel and the governing vessel, which is the two main meridians, goes from the lower lip to the anus. And then from anus, the top comes to the upper lip. So when you touch the tongue, it completes that circle. Absolutely.
And the other thing, when you put your tongue to the roof of the mouth, it actually relaxes the feet also.
Yes. Yeah. And then sometimes I have the clients, if they don't have any partials, or dentures, they press the thumb really hard to the roof of the mouth. That actually also helps open up the sinuses.
Yeah, really, that's great stuff. That's easy to do. Thanks for explaining that to everybody.
Right.
People should adopt that. If they didn't follow that completely, they can go to the replay, Tim, that you're going to post, right?
Yep, absolutely. And a couple quick things hopefully quick things for Ani as well. So we've gone through all this, and like we had one person in the audience talk about, they came for the practical helps they were dealing with. I want people to get a feel for Ani. I don't know if you really keep documentation and say I've helped 5,000 people and 5,000 and 4,999 got success, but give us a feel for your success rate, and if there's anybody you want to really highlight as something tough that you feel very proud of, share that as well.
Well, I want to say two interesting cases that was really fantastic for me. One of them, she was driven to my office because after her partial right breast mastectomy, she lost her balance. And she couldn't go to physical therapy because she's like, I cannot do the exercises. I'm dizzy. So her neighbor actually drove her to my office. And it was so cool because, first of all, before she came, of course, I had to look up what muscles, what nerves they touch or cut when they do the partial mastectomy. And it was most of the nerves and muscles that have direct and indirect connection to dura matter. So all I did is release all that. Within 45-minute session, it was gone. Her dizziness was gone. The cool thing is I submitted that case to the Science of Massage. It's an online publication, which is run by a Russian doctor. He's an MD in Arizona, Dr. Rasturchinov, who teaches the medical massage now. They actually published it, and that case won the vote by majority of vote, won case of the month in 2012. Nice. So that was cool. My other really cool case was a client of mine. She came for body pain, but as we were talking, she mentioned that since childhood, she always gets migraines and she gets bloated. And we did her genetic testing, and it turned out she had the HLA gene, which is a gluten sensitivity gene. She stopped 100% the gluten. It's not the, oh my God, I forget the name. When people really allergic to gluten. It's not celiac disease. Celiac, no. It wasn't celiac. It was just gluten sensitivity. Even though HLA gene, it's a gluten sensitive, non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Okay. So that's what she was. She got rid of complete 100% gluten, no more migraine, no more bloating.
Yeah, nice.
Those are related,
isn't it? It's all related, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the difference between the European flour and the American flour?
Very different, because in America, the wheat is hibernated.
Mhm.
And that's why the people, their body cannot digest the gluten that it's created. It's unusual. Like I have clients, they cannot eat gluten here. They go to Europe and they have absolutely no issue with
Yeah.
gluten.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
it's the hibernation of the wheat.
Right, they can import their flour then. Now, and then so appreciate you sharing that with us. Where do you want to, so you've had you've got your practice, you've got people, the people clientele you're serving now. Where do you want to take things, Ani?
Well, I know we spoke about this last time. After 30 years, my goal is I want to travel the world and speak and teach. So I want to be on a stage in front of thousands of people to share, whether it be techniques, to share, inspiration that you should never learn to live with pain. The solution is out there. You just haven't found one yet. I would love to be part of different retreats. If someone is holding a retreat, bring me in, make me a part of your retreat where I teach self-help techniques. That's my goal. Partly anything I can do that involves travel around the world. That's my passion.
Nice, nice. I like that.
All right, appreciate
Maybe
it. Bob.
maybe I'll adopt that strategy too.
There you go.
Maybe
Bob,
we can co-teach together, Dr. Bob.
That's right. That'd be great. Yeah, definitely.
Make a dynamic duel.
Yeah, be wonderful.
Bob, anything else come to mind?
No, I just have really enjoyed, Ani, hearing about a lot of what we do is quite similar, and some of the things are different. And it's always interesting for me to hear of the differences, things that are done that I haven't done yet, and things that are being done that are kind of related to what I do, but different and can have a different effect. So I really enjoyed hearing about all the things that you do, Ani, and I'm pleased to have been on this podcast with you. And thank you for coming and sharing your vast knowledge, which is clear. You clearly have vast knowledge, and that's really great. You've helped a lot of people. So
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm actually looking forward to learning what type of work you do.
we can get together after this on a Zoom call at some point, and we
Yeah,
can talk to each other.
I would love that. Actually, I wrote your name down so I can go on LinkedIn, and hopefully you're there.
Yeah,
So I
I'm
can
there.
connect with you.
I'm Dr. Bob Levine on LinkedIn, and also if you go to drbobtalks.com, that's my digital business card, and it's got everything from my 48-page CV to all the different things that I've done, 80 scientific publications, blah, 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 but it's got a lot of stuff there.
I love it. Thank you.
And then after you two meet, we're going to bring you back on here and have a round table and the debrief on it and what's come up, how we evolved the world of pain relief from that conversation.
There you
Going to
go.
be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Ani, it's been as second Bob. It's been a pleasure. Glad you joined us. It was a privilege. Hope you come back, and look forward to. John, did you have a question before we left?
No, just waving goodbye.
All right, so
Thanks, John.
Be in
Good luck
touch,
with
yeah.
everything.
Thank you. I'll check out your website.
Thank you.
thank you, Ani. It's been a pleasure. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting all of you.